is breeze, wind, or what we commonly look at is spirit. What God put in Abraham, and Sarah, he breathed his spirit on them. You know what the Holy Spirit does? He reveals the Son. That's what the Spirit of God does. The Word literally looks like a window. Hebrew is God's language is infinitely interesting and has infinite depth. What God did here is he revealed who they were and who they were called to be and who they were going to be from that moment on. And they had to say it every time they introduced themselves. They had to reveal that to everybody that met them. What's your name? Abraham. That's why we pronounce H's with we do it in English. And it's the capital H still looks like a window. I love it. Verse 17. Then Abraham bowed down to the ground, but he laughed to himself in disbelief. How could I become a father at the age of 100, he thought? And how can Sarah have a baby when she's 99 years old? Now, why did he laugh? I told you, one of the things that we're going to answer tonight is what makes something funny. You ever thought about it? Right? Especially the non-funny people. I don't know, maybe non-funny people just literally don't care. But like, I'd like to be humorous from time to time, so this is a question that's on my mind. I want to know how to be more clever, because I see as good communicators, like, that's how you get a crowd back. If a crowd's just been sitting for like 30 minutes and they haven't even smiled, like, it's usually my fault. It's not y'all, right? So like, humor is an amazing thing to use as a communicator. So it's something that's on my mind. So I've done a lot of research on this, and there's some biblical backing for this as well. I actually got this from a rabbi talking about what makes people laugh, why this verse is this way. And here's the thing, and if you think about it, I want you to start doing an inventory of the things you find funny. They have two things in common. It's something that's unexpected, and it's something that's out of place. Things that are funny are something that is unexpected and something that is out of place, right? It doesn't matter what you look at, what you think about when you think of a funny moment. It has those two elements. You didn't expect it to happen, and it was something that was out of place. That's the big two, right? It's like on Jeopardy on Saturday Night Live. Like, Burt Reynolds comes out, he's like, yeah, it's funny. It's a big hat. Right? Why is it funny? It's a gigantic hat. It's completely out of place, and no one expected him to be wearing it. That's what funny is. Why is Abraham laughing right here? What God has just said is ridiculous. It's funny. You know, we say things are funny that aren't actually funny. Look, watch. Now my collar, well, maybe. Now my collar looks funny. It's out of place. It's not where I expect it to be. What happened? It looks funny. How's that milk smell? It smells funny. How's my haircut? It looks funny. Does this shirt make me look fat? No, but it's kind of funny looking. It's out of place. It's unexpected. When a clown car pulls up and 97 people get out of the car, it is unexpected and it's out of place. Now, here's the thing that you have to know about your own life in 2020. You're going to laugh all year. Because you know what I've been laughing about all year? The ridiculousness of the blessing that God has put in my life. I walk into my office every morning, I take a right, and you know what I look at? The first 2 video game cabinets I ever dropped a quarter in at 7 years old. 7-year-old Jonathan Hale, long before ever called Jonny, in his wildest dreams, wanted Ninja Turtles, Street Fighter II, and Final Fight. I take a right every morning, and I can't help but stinking laugh. When I lay my head down at night, before my head hits the pillow for the last time, and I look around my gigantic bedroom, it's roughly the size of this room. I'm not kidding. I'm like, who even needs this? This is ridiculous. This is completely unexpected, and completely out of place. If you had told me a year ago I would live where I live now, I would have laughed. When God told Abraham at 100 you'll have a kid, he laughed. I'm here to tell you, for the rest of 2020, you are going to be laughing. You're going to be laughing a lot. You know what's starting to look really unexpected and out of place? Building a brand new sanctuary when churches are closing down all over this country. You know what's going to look really funny? How small that building looks when we build on the hill in 2 years. It's going to look funny. It's going to look funny in there when in that new sanctuary, it looks like a clown car because everybody is butted up 700 deep. It's going to be funny. And I am telling you, this year is not exempt from the everlasting covenant that Abraham cut with God. And he's the father of many nations because he's the father of you, and unexpectedly out of place big. And you can't get away from it. The joy of the Lord will be your strength. You're going to laugh. Verse 18. So Abraham said to God, may Ishmael live under your special blessing. Now, notice, he's laughed about it, and now Abraham says, may Ishmael live under your special blessing. See, he's trying to figure it out because it sounded funny the way God said it. So now he's going to try and say it like the better way. Did I actually fix it? Yeah, I fixed my collar. Okay, cool. I'm not looking weird. I'm not looking funny. Yes, Siri. You know, that was unexpected and out of place. I can't believe you would laugh. Right? These are the two things. Unexpected, out of place. I pray to God that all of the dads get this. Please, dads. The reason you're not funny is because everybody knows what you're about to say. It's completely expected. You keep saying it anyway. Trust me, if it's not unexpected, keep it to yourself. That's the way it is. So Abraham said to God, may Ishmael live under your special blessing. But God replied, no. Sarah, your wife, will give birth to a son for you. Man, that sounds funny at 100. You will name him Isaac. What does Isaac mean? Does anybody know? Laughter. You'll name him Isaac. Abraham had to walk around the rest of his life laughing at how ridiculously God had blessed him, in saying so every time he called him. You'll name him Isaac, and I'll confirm my covenant with him and his descendants as an everlasting covenant. It hasn't been revoked yet. God said it was everlasting. It is. Verse 20. As for Ishmael, I will bless him also. Just as you have asked, I will make him extremely fruitful and multiply his descendants. Notice, not only did Abraham get what God had for him, he got what he asked for. Even though what he asked for was out of line with the best thing. Asking ends up with receiving. It boggles my mind at this point, because we give Abraham a hard time. Now, he thought it was Ishmael. God answered that in the affirmative. It wasn't Isaac or Ishmael being blessed. It's Isaac and Ishmael being blessed. God has more than enough. Listen, if you're trying to decide between this and that, and both things are going to be a blessing to your life, you need to take it up a notch and quit putting or where God has an and. Because that's the only way that you will ever operate in more than enough. You operate in more than enough by replacing your small-minded oars with God's huge ands. They're so big, you'll laugh about it. Trust me. You have to do that. As for Ishmael, I will also bless him, just as you've asked. Is that what God had in mind for the covenant? No, but Abraham asked, and he received. I will make him extremely fruitful and multiply his descendants. He will become the father of 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will be confirmed with Isaac, laughter, who will be born to you and Sarah about this time next year. When God had finished speaking, he left Abraham. God gave Abraham what God had said and what Abraham asked for. Verse 23. And I said one of the other things we're going to talk about is when you should do something. 23. On that very day, Abraham took his son, Ishmael, and every male in his household, including those born there and those he had bought. Then he circumcised them, cutting off their foreskins, just as God had told him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and Ishmael, his son, was 13. Both Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised on that same day, along with all the other men and boys of the household, whether they were born there or bought as servants. All were circumcised with him. When should you obey what God says? Right now. Abraham, up until this point, when he's Abram, dilly-dallies. He knows to go to Canaan. He hangs out with his family until his father he hangs out with his family way too long when he knew he was supposed to go here. But by the time we get here and God's cutting that covenant, he doesn't even let the sun set. And that is not a comfortable thing to obey. I would have taken a day to pray about it. I would have at least let everybody know. Listen, guys, this is kind of like being uncomfortable. Because it just would be. The same day God leaves, Abraham goes, "Where's my knife?" and starts cutting. Listen, you must separate your ability to be creative now. Today, you must cut out of your life anything of the flesh. Now. Today. Don't wait. When you are immediate with God's call to you, He will be immediate with His response to you. The only time that I have ever waited on God is when He had been sitting back waiting on me to do something I already knew in my heart I needed to do. Because circumcision is not a matter of something physical according to the New Testament. We'll read it in Romans. Go with me to Romans chapter 2. Circumcision is not a matter of something done to the body in the natural. It is a matter of the heart. Romans 2, verse 28 and 29 say this: "For you are not a true Jew just because you were born of Jewish parents or because you've gone through a ceremony of circumcision." Not a true Jew. No, a true Jew is one whose heart is right with God, and true circumcision is not merely obeying the letter of the law, rather it is a change of heart produced by what? The Spirit. What happened on that day covenant was cut? Abraham, Sarah, the Spirit came. The flesh was cut off. And a person with a changed heart seeks praise from God, not from people. That is circumcision of the heart. Take a look at just a couple chapters over, chapter 4, look at verse 11. Circumcision was a sign that Abraham already had faith in that God had already accepted him and declared him to be righteous. even before he was circumcised. So Abraham is the spiritual father of those who have faith but have not been circumcised. They are counted as righteous because of their faith. Why is that? We've already talked about it. Because for a year, Abraham walked really funny and called himself the father of many nations. Everybody had to take notice. Everybody had to take notice. In faith, he did that before the promise was fulfilled in the natural, because he's called in the hall of faith the father of faith. Today, you have to make that decision. Tonight, right now, make that decision. The things that you're pursuing in your life that you know God has put there, the creative ideas that you know that you've had,